evening, everybody. And welcome to the regular meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Ossining for May 10th, 2016. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilperson Dottori?
Present.
Councilperson Feldman?
Present.
Councilmember Wilshire?
Present.
And Supervisor Levenberg.
Here.
Do we have our presentation from Mike Ritchie of Doth Rotfeld Engineering to go over the MS4 report.
We do indeed. Welcome, Mike. We're happy to have you. This is the annual stormwater report called the MS4. And Mike is with Dolph Rotfeld Engineering. And thank you, Mike, for coming tonight and giving us our annual report.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleased to be here. And just for those who maybe don't know about the MS4 requirements for municipalities in the state of New York in an impact area, which all of Westchester County is. Annually, the town is required to meet 6 minimum measures in terms of their addressing stormwater quality issues. Minimum measure number 1 is public education. It's necessary for the town to be reaching out to the community in active effort to educate the community about areas of concern with stormwater. And today the requirements are typically met with a very extensive website. The interactive opportunity with the community with the website. There are lots of materials available. Your website is very well developed, and we've assisted with materials. This report tonight, after it's received by the community, will be up on the website for the community to see and to comment on so that you can improve even more in your already extensive efforts. And the in addition to that, community activities, outreach with cleanup days, with community groups and organizations. If you can ask to be on a program, if you can get your LEAF program out and get school-age children involved, no substitute for that. We hopefully will, by educating the new generation, we will improve our overall results down the road. We did a very good job with recycling, with educating school-age children. My daughters are now well beyond school age, but we're very much influenced by bringing home from school the materials and saying, Mom, Dad, you know, that doesn't go in the garbage. Well, now we really need to do that more with things like lawn maintenance and the fertilizers we use, how we address leaf composting, and the Love 'em and Leaf 'em program is positive, but it needs to be managed so that the leaves that are high in phosphorus don't leach into the water supply. They can be mulched in place, but we want to make sure that phosphorus is a problem with water quality in general. it tends to energize the algae in the receiving water bodies, and that can cause problems with the oxygenation and then the fish life and aquatic life in receiving water bodies. So, while there are benefits to it, it has to be watched and managed carefully. Public education outreach on your website, links to DEC, links to Center for Watershed Protection, making known all of the programs that are available through it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are lots of things that communities are doing all across the country that can be adapted to your needs and to improve your conditions and circumstances. And we're very much dependent upon the water. With the Hudson River, the watershed, the New York City watershed, the tributaries to the river, we have reason to be very concerned about how we deal with water quality in Westchester County and the town of Boston. In your report, you're required to report on illicit discharges. You're required to inspect the outfalls where they discharge to the water bodies. I don't see Michael here tonight, but Michael is very active with that, very vigilant with that, and he conscientiously inspects and makes the reports, and they are represented here. In terms of construction site, your activity is relatively low. Construction sites are very closely monitored if they're an acre or more. We don't, when the cover material that holds the sediment in place is disturbed on a construction site of an acre or more, we're very concerned that that stay in place and not discharge off the site, either by construction equipment coming on the site and off the site, carrying it on their wheels, that they're clean, that they come in clean and are cleaned when they leave the site. So all of that is watched by your building department. And again, we're not reporting any illicit discharges in the inspection of the outfalls or from the construction sites. And then, of course, the municipal operations that you conduct, that you're vigilant about how your catch basins are cleaned, streets are cleaned, so that they're not receiving and then consequently discharging stormwater. We want the water to be as clean when it leaves the town as when it's received by the town. And we want the most benefit of the natural filtration of the land and the soils that are very capable of doing a very good job. So we report on all these activities, these minimum measures 1 through 6. We gather the information from the staff, from DPW, building, the administration. We compile it in a report, and we provide this opportunity for the public to ask questions or make comments. And it is a work in progress. We're all learning more about what we can do in our, everyday activities of operating a government and administering the rules and regulations of the community that help to change the culture and get begin to have people think more about how important water quality is to all of us. And we have looked at We have provided a training class to your staff, to your DPW staff. We're reporting on that. We're reporting the miles of streets that are swept, catch basins that are cleaned, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions or that you or anybody might have.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate all the work that you and your firm have put into putting together this report. It's about I think a 35 or so page report, and it really details all of the work that that the town has been doing over the last year. And a lot of it, as you mentioned, is sort of based around education, and really think it's so important that, you know, to know, for our public to know that Ossining does take very seriously our natural resources and making sure that we maintain them. So between our building department, led by John Hamilton, our highway department led by Michael G. O'Connor, and also, you know, really even our parks department, because our parks department has to maintain, you know, making sure that we kind of pick up and take care of all of our parks, which also abut some of our water bodies and our stormwater. I think that their heavens are falling today in our building. So I just want to thank you for that, and also after I open it up for questions from my colleagues on the board here, I was hoping that you might also take an opportunity tonight to talk a little bit about some of the best practices that everybody at home can practice in their backyards, or if they have local businesses, or, you know, wherever they are, or if they have even homes outside of Ossining. We want to also make sure that all of our water bodies are clean, and also that our environment is clean. So I'm going to just open up for questions, and then I'll ask you if you could talk a little bit more. I didn't have any big glaring questions, except just, you know, how, just some advice for us, how we can continue to do more and more every year.
The homeowner is the key, and as you say, education is so important. Lawn maintenance, something as simple as making sure that you as a homeowner or somebody helping you with your lawn maintenance is using low impact fertilizers, low in phosphorus, low in nitrogen. The county helped this a couple of years ago by requiring the sale of fertilizers and, you know, lawn and garden pesticide treatments to meet certain parameters that have, so that they are all that can be used by the lawn and garden industry. That's helpful, but homeowner has to be aware of what is happening on their property. We talked a little bit about leaf composting. Leave them is a good practice. The last thing you want is for leaves to be raked into a water body, because then you are putting whatever has been the leaves have been treated with into the water, as well as the leaves themselves, which are very high in phosphorus. So it's a good idea to mulch them and leave them in place. Don't rake them or concentrate them close to a water body where they can then be either by you or others introduced to the water body. Car washing, again, low impact detergents or fertilizers, or I'm sorry, cleaners on a car wash. You really should, I know this is contrary to some other good judgment, but it's not the best idea to wash your car in your driveway. It's better to go to a car wash that recirculates the water, captures and recirculates the water. Of course, what's more, Saturday or Sunday chore than to maybe wash the car in the driveway. But it does introduce that water with that pollutant into the water frame or water course, and that's not a good practice. We have pet waste. Pet waste, you pick up your pet waste. I'm from a community where when I was in the administration there, people would come and say, well, we had no idea. We pick up the waste and we put it in the catch basin. Well, they had no idea where the water from the catch basin went. But we know, we have to know that if we pick up the pet waste, it has to be disposed of with your garbage, with your household garbage, not into the catch basin at the end of the street. And really anything, septic maintenance, we have to, that's one of the major sources of stormwater pollution in areas that are high, that still have a high number of septic tank sanitary systems. And they have to be maintained and properly so that they don't overflow and end up in a water course. So those are, I'd say, some of the more typical areas that are addressed, can be addressed by typical household homeowner type properties.
Okay, I'm just gonna turn it over and see if,
He actually answered my question already. That's great.
what about pet waste?
More about lawns, though.
Closer?
I was just thinking about leaves. I can understand not raking the leaves in there, but you can't control leaves.
I know.
And I do not know the acidity ones, how would you know them?
I'm sorry.
The acidity leaves, say?
Yes. Yes, they're very high in phosphorus.
Well, how would I know which one those are?
There are really two answers. The first is the idea that leaves concentrated end up in or near a water course is probably the least desirable. And the mulched in place is probably for more environmental purposes the most acceptable. And that's what we recommend, is that if possible, they be mulched in place, and then at least whatever is either naturally or introduced to the leaf has the opportunity to be filtered through the groundwater and repurposed in that manner. Otherwise, well, we're still learning overall, but as of now, I think that's the consensus practice.
I don't think in the village and the town of Austining, we have a program where you rake your leaves to the curb, and then we have that vacuum machine that
Right.
takes the leaves and then mulches them. Now, in some cases in the town, our Parks Department actually uses some of the mulch leaves from our parks and spreads them out for the Love 'em and Leaf 'em program. And then I believe that the other leaf waste gets delivered to another area another plant that actually does recycle the leaf litter. I don't know if that. We
All acceptable. all very
So
acceptable.
that's okay to do, I think, if you stay with the program, I think versus, you don't wanna rake it into a pile and then leave it near your storm drain so that it goes into the storm drain or next to another kind of a water body where you're taking, versus
Right.
trees just dropping their own leaf
Right,
into
and
the
that's what
pond, right?
unfortunately sometimes happens with the leaf collection programs, is that they are raked to the curb near the storm drain, and the highway department can't be there everywhere all at once. You get a storm, and you get a lot of discharge into the stormwater system. And that's unfortunate because the mulching and reuse is fine on a, if it
If it
is,
keeps up with, if it
is
keeps
ma-
up.
It often comes down to how it's managed rather than whether it's, ideal or not on its own. So,
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. What, if anything, is being done to work with landscapers to make sure that they adopt and adhere to best practices?
What we suggest is that do you provide a permit, or do you regulate landscapers in any way that work in the town?
Don't know the answer to that question.
I do not believe that
Don't
we
think
do.
so.
Where they are issued permits, we ask that the clerk provide them a set of the standards and good practices at the time that they get the permit. If they aren't permitted by the town, there is a landscaping association, a county landscaping association, and we've made efforts to get them educated to the regulations and the practices, good practices.
I think
Thank you.
that's a good idea for us to consider as a town law. So we can consider that moving forward, and we could look in, I don't know if the village, Madam Clerk, do you happen to know if our village has any?
I do not believe that they do.
Okay, so we can certainly consider that moving forward as a way that we could help improve some of the practices of our business practices.
It isn't, would have to, maybe I'll try to get you some information on this, but some communities actually have a session where they try to bring in the landscapers for a half an hour or an hour program on what happens, how you would like to see, what's done in the town. And
Suggestion.
that's an idea too, just a short seminar.
Okay. And I just wanted to let everybody know also that the Indian Brook Croton Gorge watershed, Antico watershed, kind of are in both of those watersheds, and they're, those are big groups that have meeting. I've attended 2 watershed meetings recently where collectively we're looking at ways to work together, either to capture some grant money to help improve some of our watershed areas, look at zoning and some of the other things that we could do to make sure that we don't encroach upon any areas in the watershed, and general best practices for communities that are in watersheds. So that's another area that we're looking at moving forward. Question? Have one?
I just wanted to know, I was wondering, if we did find a failing septic
Oh,
system,
you-
which I'm reading.
Your mic isn't.
Okay, well, I was reading the report, and I was really happy to know that we hadn't had any failing septic systems during this time period. I was wondering if we did identify a failing septic system, what would be, we just get it fixed right away and,
The county health department is the regulatory body there. And depending upon the conditions and what options are available, they would, the activity that, the action that the town would take would be to report it to the health department.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Unless you have anything else to add, we were very grateful again for all the hard work that you put into this and working with our different departments, and look forward to continued good work. And
Thank you.
I think that we're going to be adopting this, and we have to file it with. Just file it.
It
Okay.
has to be signed
Signed and filed.
and filed.
Okay.
Maddie knows the drill, by June 1st.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Thank you
Very much, and have a good night. And of course, you're welcome to stay for the remaining part of our meeting. Oh, one more question? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, we might have one more question for you, Mike. Okay.
This covers our waterfront parks also, right?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Back to you, Madam Clerk, or?
We'll move on to announcements if there are any.
All right. Want to start? Okay. All righty. So this evening, we have a few items on our agenda, including a tax certiorari, the adoption of 2 local laws relating to state environmental quality reviews, which we have been talking about since January, and a change to the zoning fee schedule for zoning pre-planning meetings to better identify the costs involved. So applicants are bearing more of the cost than they had been versus the town bearing the cost. And to the Dale Cemetery fee schedule for indigent burials to memorialize a fee which had been charged for many years. Then we will consider a proposal from the Austin Boat and Canoe Club for their roof replacement, a building which the Boat and Canoe Club leases from the town. And we will vote on a stipulation agreement to accept the rescinding of one of our highway employees' intent to retire. We are so happy that we will be able to count on Mateo Velardo's continued excellent service to our community. We had such a busy weekend taking care of our community, and so many of us attended multiple events outside and inside to help keep our beautiful Hudson River clean. Before I tell you all the wonderful things that we did this past weekend, I just want to mention I just came back from an Energize Westchester celebration of the 1,000. It was supposed to be 1,000 homes, but it was about 1,025 homes that have made energy improvements to their homes, and as a result are seeing reduced costs for energy, adding to an increase in demand for cleaner renewable energy sources, which is part of the community choice aggregation program that's emerged from, I guess, Bedford 2020, which was the sort of the kickoff that got all of this great focus on energy started in Westchester County, and also improving business models, better practices for installing energy efficiency improvements in homes and in businesses as well. And it's really transformative kinds of practices that the work of Energize, the work of Sustainable Westchester, Bedford 2020, Green Austin, and all of the groups around the county have really worked so hard to achieve and will continue to work to achieve, so that by 2020 we will have really made an impact on our environment for our generations and hopefully many generations to come, and change the mindset of people and how we evaluate the systems in our homes and how we take care of our natural resources and how we think about the kind of energy that we want to demand going forward. So thank you to everybody who's participated in that program, and there's still wonderful contractors around who are able to make improvements to your home that will not only improve the value of your home, but reduce the cost, your out-of-pocket costs every year. So the other thing that I think is interesting is just coming off of the MS4 report. This weekend, Riverkeeper hosted up and down the Hudson River the Riverkeeper River Sweep, and Green Austin helped organize Austin's contribution to that effort. I had the pleasure of participating and want to thank Susie Ross and Caesar, whose last name I'm still not sure of, but we thank Caesar. Capio? Caesar Capio, thank you, for organizing the Ossining arm of this wonderful effort. It was a great crew of local volunteers who helped pick up garbage along the Hudson and in the park and playground, and really have made such a difference. And one of the comments that Susie Ross made was how every year there's less and less to pick up because it has a cumulative effect and you can really notice it. And there's just a lot of great work, and we also thank our parks guys for doing such a good job keeping our parks clean, and that's one of them. Also, thank you to Diane Alden for leading another team of volunteers and staffers from the Friends of the Old Croton Aqueduct to clean up along near the Croton Unique area, helped clean up the trail, pull out invasives, pick up garbage, and remove debris, and really made a difference. And the same comment was made there, which is that you can notice a huge difference just from the cumulative impact that this annual event has made. That's also a reminder that as our summer season approaches, there will be parking restrictions in the area of the Croton Gorge Unique area to make sure that our roadways are safe, and also that next Wednesday, May 18th, at 7 p.m. at the Ossining Public Library, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the DEC, will be hosting a public forum to discuss proposed restrictions to uses in the unique area that will allow the public to enjoy it and protect it for many years to come. So I encourage everyone who lives in the area or utilizes this space to please participate. Also, thanks to the Green Ossining team that helped advertise and organize the townwide tag sale event last Saturday, which was another way that we can reuse all of our stuff in our homes and make sure that other people can find some treasures that may be considered others not so treasured stuff. We need to give a big thank you to Millie Morabito, who single-handedly put together a phenomenal first annual Health and Wellness Day in Ossining to benefit the Baker Collier Christmas Cheer Fund. Millie made a huge effort. She did have some help from our town parks and our village recreation personnel. We ended up having to have the event inside at the community center, and they also helped Millie to make this a wonderful space for exhibitors and demonstrations alike. A shout out to our DJ, Johnny G. Girolamo, for announcing all the events of the day and providing music, and to Elroy the Elk for entertaining some of our youngest residents. We had a great turnout of exhibitors, and Mind, Body, Spirit demonstrations launched with demonstrations of kickboxing, recess rocks, cross training, Tai Chi demonstration, yoga, and Zumba, to name just a few. I was personally exhausted trying to keep up with all of these talented business leaders in our community who have so much to offer, but I also had a lot of fun. This weekend, there will be more opportunities to enjoy our park spaces with demonstrations from Club Fit on Saturday, May 14th at 10 a.m. at Louis Engel Park, offering stroller babies for parents and caregivers who would like to learn how to exercise with their babies in tow in strollers. And from David Garcia from Gem Fitness at Wishney Park on Saturday, May 14th at 11 a.m. to learn proper warm-up and workout techniques, including a great cross-training program. And finally, on Sunday, May 15th at 9:30 at Engel Park, the first of many Sunday Fun Days, a 30-minute outdoor training session with Enrique Rosario of ICU Fit Training. I'd also like to thank Victoria Caffarelli in my office for helping organize all of this. It's been a lot of work, and I really appreciate all the work that she's put into this and making this happen so that we can highlight our wonderful parks and open spaces and our local businesses. The Town Planning Board will meet at the Ossining Community Center on Wednesday, May 18th at 7:30 p.m. with a very full agenda, including a subdivision on Hawks application, the Parth Knowles application also on Hawks, the Artist Senior Living application on North State Road, the Bethany Arts Community application on Somerstown Road, and the application for River Knoll on Croton Dam Road. Columbus Lodge will host their annual car show at the Ossining train station this Sunday, May 15th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It had been rained out from a couple weekends ago, and they're back there this Sunday. The next Ossining documentary and discussion series is on Thursday, May 18th, screening Just Eat It. Come learn about food waste in this country and what we can all do to minimize waste, maximize accessible resources for those who need them. The Ossining Fire Department Annual Parade signs are up. It will take place on Saturday, May 21st. Step-off is at 4 p.m. from Roosevelt Square, and it's going down to the waterfront. It is also Monitor Hose Company's number 4's 125th anniversary celebration. Wow, that's incredible. Clearview School's third annual 5K run walk for the kids will take place starting at the Ossining Community Center on May 22nd. Register at clearviewschool5k.com or in person. Registration starts at 7:45 a.m. on the day of the event, and the run/walk begins at 9 a.m. Also, while I am mentioning Walks for a Cause, please do consider forming a team or supporting a team that is participating in Ossining's annual Relay for Life, which supports cancer research and the American Cancer Association, and is a big event taking place at Ann M. Dorner Middle School this year. Now's the time to consider how you would like to participate in this event, scheduled for Saturday, June 25th into Sunday, June 26th. Please take a look at our town website, the upper right corner tab, for helpful information about Zika virus, ways to help mitigate and prevent its spread. Also, we want to announce the winners of our town parks survey. Thank you to all of those in our public who participated to help identify ways that we can make our parks great. You will be hearing more about this in the near future, and how we are going to address some of the desires and or needs that you've identified in that survey. Winners of our survey raffle were Nicole Monet and Elaine Gardner, who each won a $100 gift card to a local restaurant. Next week, we will host a town hall style meeting in the Boudars Theater at the Ossining Public Library, followed by a brief work session. We will hear from Doug Olcott from Community Preservation Corporation, CPC, to discuss how this Ossining business works with developers throughout the Hudson Valley on right-sizing projects to benefit the communities in which they are housed. Please join us for an informational evening. We have an addition to this as well that we are hoping to add, and we'll share more with you when we have confirmation. Also, please be aware that the New York State DOT is fixing up the median on Route 9A under the Pleasantville Road overpass. We are pleased that they are getting to this area to repair the mangled guardrail and make other necessary repairs, but it will mean road closures, which have already started, every night this week on 9A from 9 p.m. through 5 a.m. There will also be left lane closures between 134 and Ryder Avenue, so please plan accordingly. Are there any other announcements that I did not get? Well, you have Bolton Canoe Club, you can do it? I'm gonna introduce liaison reports next, so is that, does anybody else have any other announcements that I've missed? Okay, for the first time this year, we are adding liaison reports to our meeting agenda. So I'm going to invite any of my colleagues on the town board who have liaison appointments to other organizations to please share those with us at our board meetings, and you can do that at this time. And as I said, this is going to be a regular addition to our meetings coming up. I hope that the board and the public will benefit from this information. So, Councilwoman Feldman, it looks like you're ready to talk, so go ahead.
Turn this on. Okay, you did cover a bunch of this stuff because I'm liaison to a bunch of the groups that you've been talking about. Okay, but we'll start with the Ossining Bolton Canoe Club. No surprise, I'm the liaison. On May 22nd will be our 101st opening day, commissioning day ceremony. First, we always have the veteran ceremony, where we honor those sailors lost at sea by placing a biodegradable wreath into the Hudson. The American Legion Post 506 has an honor guard, and the Ossining High School Band provides music for this event. That is followed by our opening day flag raising ceremony and a potluck celebration. So any veterans and anybody are welcome to attend. The day before, instead of in August, the Ossining Fire Department, as you were saying, will have the the parade in celebration of Monitor Hose's 125th anniversary. There will be, I think, 30 fire companies coming from all over. And it steps off at 4 o'clock on Saturday, May 21st. Also, Green Ossining, which you said almost everything. That's okay. They had an amazingly successful Earth Day and a beautiful day, and they wanted me to make sure to thank everybody once again, all of the parks guys and all of the volunteers and first responders and the town and the village for really working together to make it a great event. They also just had the very successful tag sale, which is all about reusing instead of filling our landfills. And I think they had 30 families almost this year. It's getting bigger and bigger, so something to look out for. There's another one coming in October. The next Earth Day celebration will actually be on Earth Day on Saturday, April 22nd, 2017, so you want to mark your calendars early for that. They wanted me to be sure to thank Dana for coming to the river sweep. Sadly, I was working, but they're really appreciative that you came and helped out.
And I got my son. There were
oh.
two of us.
Okay, you too. I was unaware. They wanted me to mention the documentary discussion series next Thursday about Just Eating, discussing the food waste. They have a nice panel of young, energetic people to discuss this issue. And they're going to be reviewing the climate action plan this month and really seeing what ideas they can come up with next. So I'm really proud to be a liaison to Green Ossining. I think they do a lot of really great work, and I think they're making a big difference. Let's see, and it is EMS week this week. So we're celebrating our ambulance corps, and I know they're having a lot of education classes that are available for everyone.
Might want to just check with OVAC. If we get some more information, we'll share that with you at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, I don't have that. Okay, I think that
Great.
covers me.
I'm liaison to IFCA, also for transparency, their executive director. Right now, IFCA will be holding its annual meeting on May 17th, which is May 19th, I'm sorry. Next Thursday night at 7 p.m. at the Star of Bethlehem Baptist Church. If you'd like to attend, you are welcome. It is a free event to the public. It's a good opportunity to come and find out a little bit about what IFCA does. And IFCA, for those of you who don't know, IFCA provides affordable rental housing for people in Ossining and Tarrytown. Right now there's 76 units of affordable housing. Unfortunately, they're all rented up right now in Ossining, mostly all of it in the village of Ossining. We are looking to purchase new buildings going forward, and we've also received $295,000 from the state from the Community Development Block Grant Fund to rehabilitate our existing houses, which are all quite old. So that work is getting started, and actually a continuation of work already underway. So as we renovate and rehabilitate the properties we have, we hope to preserve affordability in the village of Ossining and expand that, working independently as well as in partnership with other developers and state and private organizations.
I'm just going to mention that Councilwoman Jeffrey could not join us tonight for our meeting because she's up in Albany with the New York State Senate. She also works for Senator Carlucci, and Senator Carlucci and the New York State Senate are honoring women of distinction, and this year Senator Carlucci selected our own, Ossining's own Thomasina Laidley Brown to honor. We're very, very proud that she was selected, and very excited and happy that Councilwoman Jeffrey can represent us up there for that recognition, so thank you for that. And also, she is the liaison to the Recreation Advisory Council. I think they met last night, so hopefully we'll get a report from her soon, but they have been looking at ways to make it easier for some of the baseball teams to have access to our fields, and we've been working together to kind of come up with creative solutions for that, as well as looking at surveying what some of our community assets are in our park for recreation that need work, and we're evaluating how to proceed and we'll be bringing that to the board in terms of capital planning for our parks and public spaces. So more to come on that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you reminded me when you mentioned Thomasina. At IFCA's annual meeting next week, IFCA will also be honoring Thomasina Laidley Brown with the August Gold Memorial Award for Outstanding Community Service. And we will also be honoring Jean Glassman of Briarcliff for the Susan Brewster Eisenman Award for Outstanding Volunteer Service. Don't want to forget that.
Absolutely not. Okay, and I think with that, we are in our announcements.
We'll move on to public comment on any agenda items. Not seeing anyone, we'll move on to the board resolutions. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the April 26, 2016 minutes for the regular meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Resolved, the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the April 26, 2016 minutes of the special meeting as presented. That's not the right date, is it?
Oops.
Right.
May 3rd. Okay,
May
so
3rd.
friendly amendment to approve the May 3rd, 2016 minutes. Do I have a motion for the May 3rd?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Resolved, the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated May 10th, 2016, in the amount of $356,089.95.
Second.
Any discussion? Any highlights from, wanna mention?
Some of it, as we reviewed, I did actually send some notes around to the board. One of the major expenses, we have tax cert on there, but we also have paying Westchester County their portion of 2 pilot agreements. So that's something that's sort of unusual. But we didn't really have anything else really of note. It just happened to be a large voucher on this time around.
So, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Tax certiorari, whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York were instituted by New York Dealer Stations LLC against the town of Austin to review the tax assessments made on petitioner's property located at 160 South Highland Avenue and South Highland Avenue, town of Austin, and designated on the tax assessment map of the town of Austin as section 97.15-3-2 and 97.15-3-1 for tax assessment years 2012 through 2015, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, under index number 668-3512, 656-4313, 672-5114, and 673-5015. And whereas the above petitioner has agreed to a compromise and settlement of such proceedings subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property and improvements as follows. The New York Dealer Stations LLC, 160 South Highland Avenue and South Highland Avenue, Austin, New York, section 97.15, block 3, lot 2, and section 97.15, block 3, lot 1, section 97.15, block 3, lot 2. Whereas any and all refunds necessitated by said settlement will be made without interest, and whereas the town board, upon the recommendation of the assessor, concurred by the special counsel, finds the proposed settlement appropriate and in the best interest of the town of Austin. Now therefore it is resolved that the settlement of the proceedings on the terms set forth herein is hereby accepted and approved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, wherein such proceedings are pending, and is further resolved that the special counsel is hereby authorized and directed to procure and execute any documents necessary to effectuate such settlement, and it is further resolved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make the changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of the settlement. And the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $271.61, which will be ordered pursuant to said consent judgment.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Okay, so we agreed to this when Tyler reassesses. Does this come after Tyler's number or before? Is it gonna be reset to the revaluation, or is it going to be reset to the number that was agreed on in the court?
I can't answer for our assessor, obviously.
Okay.
And I won't try to, but I will tell you that, moving forward, having the actual, appraisal numbers will help. And the appraisal numbers are gonna affect our 2017 roll. So, I think it will give us more standing in court as we move forward. For 2016, I'm guessing, this goes up to 2015, as you can see.
Oh, okay.
There was zero reduction for one of the properties, there was more reduction, I'm guessing, that we were actually able to use some of the information that we hold, but because it really affected the 2016 values, which then turns into the 2017 roll, that's where we're really gonna be starting to see a difference.
Okay,
Okay, so I was going to make that comment that having now 100%
valuation.
valuation is going to help us in these court proceedings. So if we actually have something concrete that's been approved by New York State, that is, that then jives with real values, instead of having to use just across the board equalization rate. And I think that that's gonna make a real difference as we move forward in our tax certs and in our SCARs and all of the grievances that are brought against the values. I don't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, I didn't discuss this specific one with the assessor, but I know trying, when he does settle these tax certs, at this point in time, to have them align with whatever valuation would be. And typically, when you settle a tax certiorari, that fixes assessment for a three-year period. So I'm assuming that this is what it's going to be.
Okay, thank you.
And on top of that, they work pretty close together, don't they? The assessor and the evaluation.
Only because we discussed this one before we had the numbers in from Tyler, is why I'm asking about this one.
Right, so, but they still had some figures that they
Okay.
could go by. I'm quite sure,
Okay.
even when we discussed this.
Thank you.
Even if it hasn't been, all the distribution hadn't been finalized, the values were close enough that they had some comparable properties and commercial, assessment that they could use. And they're required, I believe as part of the certiorari process, to present appraisals as well, to kind of come to a conclusion, reduction.
It would depend upon where it is in the process. Sometimes when you're negotiating before you get to the point where you're preparing appraisals for trial, this is an income-producing property, so generally they'll produce information regarding the income, and that's usually the basis on which you fix an assessment for this kind of property.
Questions or comments? Do I have, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention?
Whereas the town board of the town of Ossining has been considering the adoption of a proposed local law entitled repealing Chapter 85 of the town code requiring secret processes, which shall cause an adjustment of current veterans exemptions.
Oops, that's a mistake. Yep, that's not right.
The amendment should be, which shall cause the town to defer to New York State guidelines pertaining to SECRA.
Which shall cause, town guidelines to SEQA?
Which shall cause the town to defer to New York State guidelines pertaining to SECRA.
Whereas in accordance with New York State law, and after having provided all requisite notice thereunder, the town board conducted a public hearing on introductory local law number 4, 2016, entitled Repealing Chapter 85 of the Town Code regarding SEQA processes on February 9th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. at the Birdsall Fagan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street, Austin, New York, during which the public had the opportunity to be heard on such proposed local law. And whereas proposed local law is a type 2 action and does not require environmental review, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby adopts local law 4, 2016 entitled Repealing Chapter 85 of the Town Code regarding SEQA processes, with such adoption to take effect as set forth in said local law and as otherwise required by law. And be it further resolved that the town board directs said local law 4 of 2016 to be filed under and/or distributed in accordance with applicable law.
Do I have a motion for the friendly amendment? So discussion, I think I just want to, actually, what, can we read local law number 5 and take a motion for that, and then we can adopt them both together? Is there any problem with that? Is there?
Well,
So
there'll
we
be,
can talk, we can discuss them, or, okay, let's just have a discussion about both of them together, and then we'll take a motion for the other one.
Want me to talk about it?
Yes, please.
Basically, when we came on board at the beginning of the year, we saw that your Chapter 85 was in existence. It was adopted in the mid-1980s pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, which was adopted in the late 1970s. And that provided for local regulations within certain parameters. In the 1990s, that law was amended, or the state law was amended, I should say, but your law never was. And when we reviewed this, we realized that in several instances it was inconsistent with state law, actually in violation of the current state law. And furthermore, on making inquiry, we found that actually it was rarely followed, that generally your boards followed state regulations anyway. So we recommended repealing it. At that time, the EAC in particular was concerned that there were a couple of provisions regarding type 1 actions that were a little bit more inclusive than the state regulations, and they wanted to see those type 1 actions continued. So what we suggested doing, rather than doing a piecemeal repeal of the law, was to repeal the entire law and then to readopt those few type 1 actions that the EAC felt were important to continue in order to ensure a little bit closer scrutiny of certain environmental actions. So that's what, number 4 is the repeal, number 5 is the re-implementation of a few of those with some slight rewording to make sure that they, in fact, comply with state regulations.
Right. And we've been back and forth a couple times. Our planning board, we asked to weigh in, we asked Westchester County to weigh in, we asked the Environmental Advisory Committee to weigh in. Environmental Advisory Committee has bounced back a couple of times with some suggestions for some things that were more stringent, but were not allowable as type 1 actions, because the type 2 action
Right, what
did
happened was
that
there were
from-
a couple of things that they wanted to make type 1 actions, but they were already type 2 actions under state law. Type 2 actions are actions that do not require any further environmental review. Type 1 actions are actions that are more likely to require an environmental impact statement. And state law specifically, or the state regulations specifically state that you may not make a type 2 action, a type 1 action. A couple of those things that the EAC suggested were in fact within that category. They can't be adopted because it would violate state law again.
And so even though there may be a couple of additions that we may pick up along the way, we felt that we've been looking at these now for about 4 months, and we wanted to get them on paper and to make sure that we were in compliance with the state regulation. So that being said, I would now, unless there's any further questions, like to take a vote on this local law number 4 to repeal Chapter 85 and therefore adopt the state secra law as our default. All those in favor?
Aye.
No, Madam
Aye.
Supervisor, it's a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry, okay.
You want me
Roll
to
call
do
vote.
it, or
Yes,
you?
please, you can.
Okay, Councilmember, Torrey,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilshire,
Aye.
Councilmember Feldman,
Aye.
and Supervisor Levenberg.
Aye.
Must put five. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Ossing has been considering the adoption of a proposed local law entitled Creating a New Type 1 List for Actions under SEQA, which shall append a list of Type 1 actions to the state SEQA regulations for use in the Town of Ossing. And whereas in accordance with New York State law and after having provided all requisite notice thereunder, the Town Board conducted a public hearing on introductory local law number 5, 2016, entitled Creating a New Type 1 List for Actions under SEQA on March 8th at 7:40 p.m. at the Birdsall Fagan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street, Ossing, New York, during which the public had the opportunity to be heard on such proposed local law. And whereas the proposed local law is a Type 2 action and does not require environmental review, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossing hereby adopts local law number 5, 2016, entitled Creating a New Type 1 List for Actions under SEQA, with such adoption to take effect as set forth in said local law and as otherwise required by law. And be it further resolved that the Town Board directs said local law number 5 of 2016 to be filed and or distributed in accordance with applicable law.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
You have a roll call vote on this as well?
Yes, we do. Councilmember Torrey,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilshire,
Aye.
Councilmember Feldman,
Aye.
and Supervisor Levenberg.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yay. Don't have to say that speech anymore, Steve. Thank you very much.
Resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Ossing hereby changes the following fee in the 2016 Schedule of Fees: zoning pre-application meetings to discuss conceptual proposals per meeting, $350. Change zoning pre-application meetings to discuss conceptual proposals per meeting, $500.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Talked about this last week at our work session. The reason is because our fees tend to going over the amount that we had been charging, and the town was picking up the difference, so we wanted to raise it $150 for that, so that the applicant was picking up that cost instead. Still picking up some
We're
of it,
still picking up some.
yes. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Ossing hereby adds the following to the Dale Cemetery fee schedule: indigent burials, $600.
Do you have a motion?
Second.
Discussion, again, this is something that we had been charging a little less. We learned that prior to establishing this fee schedule in the town, that the past cemetery association had been charging $600, so we wanted to memorialize that in our fee schedule and bring it up to what we had been charging, which is $600. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Whereas the Town of Ossing owns property along Westerly Road, including property licensed to the Ossing Boat and Canoe Club, and whereas pursuant to the licensing agreement, the Ossing Boat and Canoe Club is obligated to, in addition to rent and utilities, annually pay $4,000 in the form of repairs, replacements, and capital improvements to the building. whereas the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club has submitted a proposal for a roof replacement to be contracted for and paid by the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club to the town board for approval, the cost of which shall be applied to the aforementioned repair portion of the rent for such time until a contract price is reached. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining does hereby approve the bid of $11,700 from Miller Roofing, Inc., 88 Croton Avenue, Ossining, pending approval by town council.
Do I have a motion?
Motion. It's so moved. Yeah, all right.
Okay, any discussion, comments? Feldman, any comments?
We're just so happy to be able to get the roof done. It's been a long time coming.
We're happy that it's gonna be a significant improvement, and it'll improve the envelope of the building and protect it, as well as a visual improvement.
Absolutely.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the town supervisor, the town board hereby ratifies and approves the stipulation of agreement regarding Mateo Velardo and the revocation of his intent to retire in August of 2016 between the town and Local 456 International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Chauffeurs, Warehousemen, and the Helpers of America, AFL-CIO, effective May 11th, 2016, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute the stipulation on the town's behalf.
As I mentioned, Mateo Velardo is a treasured member of our town highway department, and we're thrilled that he's decided not to retire, and look forward to another, hopefully many years of good work from him, and we're very excited about that. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
We have no correspondence to be received and filed. We do have monthly reports. Resolved, the town board of the town of Ossining hereby accepts the following reports for the month of April 2016. Town clerk's office, town supervisor's office, town tax receiver's office, GE helicopter report, and the Dale Cemetery report.
Have a motion?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
That completes your resolutions for this evening. We now have visitor recognition. Not seeing anyone's hand. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Okay, I didn't think we were gonna get any opposition. Councilman Wilshire. We're not even going into executive
neither.
session. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I hope that you have a great week. I look forward to seeing everyone next week at our town hall meeting at the Ossining Public Library. As always, please feel free to call us in the town office at 762-6000 with any questions or comments, and check out our website for updates. Otherwise, have a great evening.